It's going to be your IPL EU qualifiers. Well, here we are, guys. Top right corner going to be your purple Zerg. It is live Zerg. In the very far bottom left corner, currently teamless at the moment, is going to be NaNiwa, your blue Protoss player.
So the map is Daybreak, PvZ. And this is one of my favorite maps, Tim, to hatchery block. Well, you see a lot of Protosses actually go Nexus first on this map. And consequently, you know, just go for that hatch block, man. And suddenly they need to drop a forge, and it's a big mess.
Well, especially in a game number 1, it's really hard to invest in trying to all-in your opponent with a really aggressive play. I mean, you can even go for a 10 pull, but you can't really expect them to go for a Nexus first. We do have the pylon already being set up, but it's hard to make that judgment call saying, okay, I'm going to be really, really aggressive here. And that's why a lot of Protoss players, especially in a best of 3, will go ahead and jump into a Nexus first, as you just mentioned. So, live Zerg.
Especially a player like NaNiwa.
Yeah, NaNiwa loves
very
Nexus first.
greedy.
And he was a player that was forward expand or die. I remember in some MMLG tournament, every single game he went for a void expander and just kept dying, and eventually just fell out of the tournament. But with that being said, he does have a probe scout heading straight to the main, and we'll get an idea of what live Zerg is going for. And this is the early game shenanigans you see in PvZ. Can I get my hatchery down? No, I can't. I'm just gonna go ahead and get a pull down, deal with the probe.
Wow.
A little bit later on.
All right, so oh no, that was a 15 pull. Excuse me. Coming out of live Zerg. And of course he's going to try to follow up with, as you said, that quick pull. Should send his drone down nice and early, any second here in all reality. Looking on the minimap and waiting for it. There it is. Coming down, because you don't want to come down when you're already set to build your hatchery. You need to get some damage in on the probe first.
Look at this little square here. This is really cool by NaNiwa. It actually forces live Zerg to micro really hard here to get damage on that probe.
Yeah.
Because it actually circumvents in a full circuit that drone would actually just sit doing a circle the whole entire time and never attack if it was just on auto attack. That's really cool, actually, from NaNiwa. Nice precision, actually, just landing that perfect little square there. But with that being getting that probe out of the way, it looks like from here live Zerg will get that hatchery down, and now we go into the wait for a 6-minute timing, 6 to 8 minute timing after we get the natural down. We wait 6 more minutes, and around 9 to 10 minutes we'll actually finally have some kind of aggression coming from NaNiwa. Now the question is, what does he plan to go for? We've seen him do a lot of Phoenix play, actually. He really enjoys his Phoenix play. And it comes down to a testament of his micro and how well he does engagements. But we'll see if he can go for that route. Daybreak is a map that you can pull off Phoenix play.
No, it's completely true. And he's going to have a lot of options that are going to honestly all be completely viable for him. NaNiwa opened with Nexus first, as we were speculating. And you know, one of the great things about Nexus first is you're just so you're so economical in the early game. Your timings can all be, you know, good 20, 15 seconds faster. So with that said, I'm going to be curious to see what he opts to go for here, man. Daybreak, you said it's more and more we see players, you know, going for builds, excuse me, that actually aren't the stereotypical best builds for that map, because players are getting so good at dealing with things like Phoenix on Daybreak that they're not expecting things like a Mortal Sentry all in here.
Well, I think now we can say people are Mortal Sentry all in after our cast on Monday, but yeah, you're right. Like the plays that...
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're seeing more players do that, actually, because, I mean, I remember with Kevin discussing how, you know, nobody Mortal Sentry all-ins on Daybreak because it's just too big, it's too easy to counterattack your opponent. And suddenly we're actually seeing players do this because nobody was ever doing it, and so now it works.
Well, Lings are going to be poking down the probe. That did scalp that third, by the way. So NaNiwa is aware of what exactly his opponent's going for. He has started +1. Do we have a third and fourth simulator yet? Should have one within the next 30 to 40 seconds, depending on what build we're seeing from NaNiwa.
He actually started +1 before he started Warp Gate, and that actually does lend itself a little towards a Mortal Sentry all-in. It also can be things like a +2 Blink Stalker all-in at 10 minutes. But I don't see too much of a purpose for NaNiwa to all-in here, unless it's like the Immortal Sentry all-in, which is such a reliable, effective all-in build, you know, as long as you're on your game. Because NaNiwa is going to be the favorite player here, let's be honest. So if he plays this pretty conservative or, you know, pretty standard, he's more likely to win than if he really mixes things up.
Well, we do have the third and fourth guess finally being tossed down. Robo is on the way.
Yeah.
Will he mix it up? +1 is about 30% done. Has not been chrono boosted. He's going to be using that chrono boost very, very soon. Most likely to be used on top of this robotics facility as soon as he does have the energy available for it. And well, now we just wait and see if that's the plan he's going for. He has queued up a sentry. Stalker is in the middle of the map. Lings are chasing it down, but no speed is actually even on the way for LiveZerg yet. He's actually moving straight into Evolution Chamber. Wants to get that +1 down. We've been seeing a lot of Zerg players having a bit of success here with getting +1 out as quickly as possible to deal with these aggressive pushes that are coming your way. +2 should be queued up immediately right after this for NaNiwa, and it looks like he is most likely going for this Immortal Sentry on. As you mentioned, we need to see how many gateways he can put down after this pylon does finish up.
Yeah, Daybreak, you know, it's a big map. It's going to take you a while to get your pylon across the map. He did open Nexus first, so this build could move out around 9 minutes, but he's actually going to start up armor here. And, you know, this, as we were talking about before, when you see +1 go down before Warp Gate, it's a big tell that you may follow it up with further upgrades, which in this case is going to be that +1 armor. 3 gateways are going down, and this is looking more and more like we do have some sort of an on, but he's actually going to throw down a Robotics Bay behind this. So this is going to be extremely interesting. If you do go for a Colossus 2-base all-in, it's more of a time that hits around 12:30, but I would actually anticipate he's going to expand behind this. Well, more gateways, man. Warp Prism speed, is that what it's going to be for? Is it not going to be for Colossus? We'll have to wait and see.
Strong possibility. Just have these 2 Immortals popping out. When this Warp Prism finishes up, we'll see in a second what he wants to follow into. Warp Prism speed will be on the
2
way.
Warp Prism harass, and there's our Twilight Council.
So he could be doing, of course, drops right in the main. Mortal drops have actually become, well, they're not popular. They used to be really strong about 3 to 4 months ago. They would be done all the time. They snipe down spawning pools, of course, start taking down the lair tech. They really force your opponent to pull back, and that allows for this Twilight Council follow-up with any gateway you want to go into to pop into the 3rd. Unfortunately, this is moving straight into a Colossus production here. Actually, he can't. He starts the Gravitic Drive.
This is a really cool build out of NaNiwa. It is built a lot to look like the Immortal Sentry build. I mentioned, you know, how the Warp Gate is started after +1, which with the Immortal Sentry build, you're not so worried about finishing Warp Gate. It's more about, you know, getting out 3 Immortals. Immortals are getting a lot of damage right there, taking quite a bit. Gravitic Drive almost finished up. But he's continuing to pump out Colossus behind this. Expect extended Thermal Lances to follow the Warp Prism speed research completion. And +2 as well should be, there it is, actually starting up now for NaNiwa.
Well, yep, he's going to float around this, the Warp Prism. The upgrade has finished up, and now observing becomes a little bit harder. We got to follow this Warp Prism. Going to be heading straight to the 3rd. The roaches and lings are all nice and grouped up there, though, so it's going to be a little bit harder for LiveZerg to allow anyone to actually land in there. Infestation Pit follow paths happened as well, and he went ahead and secured that 3rd with some creep as well. So LiveZerg doing a good job of keeping everything on 2 bases here. And he's followed up in the investment, so he now has the ability to real hold off a lot of 2-base pushes that might be coming his way. But it looks like NaNiwa's going to keep the aggression up, moving straight into Zealots here, and of course Zealots do great against Lings. There are a lot of units though on the ground for LiveZerg, moving straight on in. Now remember, 1-1 upgrades are finished up. The Immortals do get surrounded, need to be a little bit careful here, and all of these Zealots are actually cleaned up, but
yep. He pulls them out of position, but he actually stopped the Warp Prism. I was expecting him to make like a beeline move for the main.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. As soon as he actually forced that full pullback to go ahead and, like you mentioned, to go straight for the main, he could warp in a sentry really quickly and get a force field down, but nope, does not go that route. And for now, he's just using harass here, and you really use the harass to keep your unit back at the natural and 3rd so you can fall up into an expansion. And it looks like finally he's going to go ahead and start moving for that expansion, but a little bit on the delayed side for my liking. But nonetheless, pylon is now on the way. He will deal with the Overlord as well as get rid of that creep that's underneath there. And he does have Observer above the 3rd too, so you can keep an eye on that in case he wants to do some more harassment.
And this was pretty close to when we used to see in, you know, the older styles of ZVP meta, 11.5, 12-minute 3rd, not too atypical. Immortals could actually drop in a very awkward position there behind the Evolution Chamber, actually. Up into the left, but he's going to do a warp in right in the mineral line here.
LiveZerg responding immediately to this pressure, doing a good job just being all over the map, keeping tabs on that Warp Prism. He has good Overlord coverage, actually, to be honest with you. You can see at any point to where this Warp Prism does enter in. He actually does force a cancel on a few of those units as well. And it looks like the Infestation Pit has finished up. He's trying to land a fungal, misses the fungal just
misses
barely.
Again.
It's getting very, very weak there, but 2 missed fungals is a very strong missed opportunity. The Queens were there, so they could have sniped it. On that Warp Prism, it's pretty low, yeah. If he would have gotten a fungal, that would have been killed off immediately. But he has started to get his 3rd nice and set up here. He's waiting for this creep to pop off, and there we go. We'll finally expand. Very late expansion. Even back in a good 6 to 8 months ago, a normal expansion time is like 12:30, 12:45.
Yeah, he tried to move out at the normal time, and then there was an Overlord there.
Yeah, and that slowed him down a good hefty amount, and this allows LiveZerg to get aggressive here. moving straight into Roaches and Lings, has Corruptors on the way. Also already moving into Broodlord. He's really doing a good job of macroing up. He's got a 4th expansion already up on the way, and now with this 3rd aggression coming, he might be able to force a cancel on this Nexus.
Yeah, let's see what he can do. NaNiwa, of course, does have quite a Colossus count, but he does not have extended thermal lances, notably. That's a research that he has neglected. His ground upgrades are fantastic, though. He's got +1 armor, +3 weapons on the way, so he's at 2-1. Here comes Live Zerg's attack. NaNiwa is in position to defend this quite well, as we were saying, though.
No, he's only got a couple of sentries in this thing. There we go, going to join Threat in. A lot of Stalkers here to deal with the Corruptors. And he actually has some Stalkers in the top left corner, so the Corruptors aren't actually doing a lot of damage to
yeah, but they're all dying.
There we go, finally dying off, and it looks like this one last Colossus will survive, and now he can deal with the Roaches. He's trying to focus down the Nexus, but he's taking a lot of damage while doing so.
Too much.
One Corruptor does pop in to try and snipe it, but some nice micro from NaNiwa, some force field to land as well, and he cuts his army down very quickly, and now a counterattack is very possible here for NaNiwa.
I mean, NaNiwa is going to have an incredible potential to deal some serious damage. No focus fire out of Live Zerg on the Colossus, sitting around 100 hit points, though. That was a little bit of an error. That thing, I was actually at 60 between its shield and its HP. NaNiwa definitely could have lost that Colossus. It would have been huge for Live Zerg.
And he gets his weekend Wheel Prism that he kept alive earlier to go ahead and warp in a few more units. Currently at 155 supply. Moving forward, 3-1, about to finish up. NaNiwa looking so strong at the moment. Really needs one that upgrade that's on the way, Journal Glands, or at least Google to deal with this competition. Corruptor gets sniped off right away. This 4th base is in trouble, and at least the Stalkers are poised in position to deal with him. And I like how he brings Stalkers up to A, see if an Infestor's going to be coming very soon. He can blink away, but his Colossi never get caught. Yeah,
that's actually a really cute maneuver. Infestors, of course, are a really good way to shut this down, but here comes the push out of Live Zerg, and he definitely has inferior upgrades. This is showing right now. These Stalkers taking forever to fall. The Colossus will be sniped, though, by some Roaches in the back. That's very nice for Live Zerg, but it's still a huge Stalker count sitting here that I don't know that he can contend with. 40 Lings on the way right now, but so much of Live Zerg's supply is actually in drones.
Yeah, at this point now, there's just way too many Corruptors in the air, and there's no Colossi for him to snipe. As you mentioned, now it's just pure Immortal against Roaches and Lings that are popping out. And he starts to get some Zealots finally mixed into the competition, and he's just going to go ahead and kill everything off. The Corruptors trying to sit above the Stalkers to try and get rid of some DPS, but NaNiwa doing a good job of controlling everything, blinking back, as you can see, as his units do get weaker here, and he is dealing with his Roaches very nicely. Lings are popping out as well. Queens are here in the middle as well. He's about to have a reinforcement, but never mind, more Stalkers do join up as well, and it looks like Live Zerg has just left the game. Unfortunately, hit the wrong button. He must have in-game hotkey to with a G or something.
Well, that was a pretty crazy game, man. NaNiwa opened with that Immortal Harass that really did nothing. Live Zerg looked to be in a great position.
Yeah.
I mean, he even delayed the expansion out of NaNiwa, but he really overcommitted to killing that Nexus. He killed one Colossus, and that's it.
See, the problem with
Stalkers too, but he lost every Corruptor.
The problem with that is he was moving up the tech chain. He was moving to Hive. He was moving towards getting into Broodlords. So at that point, he wasn't having a reinforcement route. I could see maybe if he was reinforcing those units by going to the Nexus, like he really wanted to all in that Nexus and prevent it from happening. Yes, if he had his 4 bases constantly turning Roaches out, then yes, it'd be worth it for him to kill it.
It was a 13-minute Nexus.
Yeah, so he was...
I don't really need to snipe it that bad. If it's an 8-minute Nexus, I mean, kill that thing. But
I don't know.
That's unfortunate for Live Zerg, man. He's gonna be down 0-1 right now versus NaNiwa. Guys, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. I'm Kibbles.
And I am Robin. We'll be right back in a few seconds.